Welcome back, listeners. Today we're diving right into the science meets sound revolution of breathwork with none other than Adam Ludwin. He's the founder of FivePointFive, the first functional breath training app that fuses biometric data with the music that you love to help you unlock peak performance in just 90 seconds. Now, is a serial entrepreneur who has built a multi-million dollar tech and media ventures. He is chaired the lead and influencer marketing agency, and he's now on a mission to make optimal breathing as an intuitive as hidden play on your favorite playlist. So it's an honor, Adam, to have you on the show. I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to learn about your app. I love breathing techniques, and it's so important to incorporate breathing techniques into your life, but we'll get to that in a minute. But before we do anything, take a moment to say hello to our audience and, tell them a little about yourself.
Sure, no, thank you so much for having me. My name's Adam Ludwin. I'm founder of FivePointFive. I guess my journey was a little unconventional. I started my first digital media business from my mum's hallway when I was 21 years old after dropping out of university. And from there, started to build up this kind of marketing company that essentially evolved into an advertising technology company that spanned across 8 countries, 300 staff, and grew that for around 10 years. We had a great exit, and I think when you go through that journey when you're 21 through to 33, you learn a lot about yourself in those years. And for me, I really learned that I became more and more passionate about building things and focusing on areas that were going to impact people's lives for the better. So we had a great exit, sold for north of 100 million. But by age 33, which was a few years ago now, I realized there was an opportunity for me to take all the lessons that I've learned and apply that to an industry that I thought was ripe for disruption. So for me, that became kind of a focus on breathing and breath work specifically. So when I sold the business, I took like a year out, and I ended up reading book after book after book about breathing, and I became fascinated with the science behind it, specifically functional breathing. So that is essentially 60 to 90-second biohacks to hack your mind or your body to achieve a certain state, be that stress-free, anxiety-free, more performance, more focus, faster recovery, better sleep, etc. And I ended up reading a lot of books by the world's #1 functional breathwork expert called Patrick McKeown. And I read probably 3 or 4 of his books before reaching out to him and saying, hey, I'm Adam. I really want to kind of build something that incorporates a lot of the lessons you talk about. And I got a quick email back from him saying, really busy right now, but best of luck with it. So after a few months passed, I reached back out to him. I knew I was going to be working with him in some way in the future. And I said,
Yeah.
hey, now I kind of really had a chance to think about this. This is what I'm looking to do. And I'd love to kind of chat with you about advising me on this journey. And he responded back saying, let's talk. So I ended up studying with Patrick. And with Patrick, he kind of really emphasized on the biomechanics, the biochemistry, the psychophysiological dimensions with the link between the mind and the body and the body and the mind, and allowed me to fully understand why specifically breathing in a certain way has a certain effect on us from a biochemical, biomechanical aspect. So that became kind of an obsession of mine. And then off the back of those learnings, I realized there was this opportunity to bring that to the world. So that's when I started to really build the foundations of FivePointFive, which was about just over 2.5 years ago, just over 2.5 years ago now.
Wow. Now, what sparked the idea to link breath work with biometric feedback and music to play one single experience with 5.5? And why was that the right time to launch it?
Well, I think for me, I was growing a business, as I mentioned, 300 staff, and I was really, really getting burnt out. And I had a life coach that came to me and showed me all these different tools, meditation, a bunch of other things, and nothing really worked for me, and introduced me to breath work. The first time I did breath work, I was fascinated because it was the first time I'd done something that instantly shifted my mindset in seconds. However, I found it impossible to bring it into my everyday life. I was too busy to set aside 10 minutes even. And when I did do it, I found it really boring. So, I realized there was this, even though I knew the power of breath work and I was studying more and more about it at that time, I realized there was this opportunity to bring it to the world in a way that makes it fun to do, entertaining to do, but also utilizing my technology background, how we can make that data driven. How can we make sure that we know what breathwork sequence you should do before you even know what you need yourself? So how can we
Right.
start to detect, biomarkers of stress, workouts, poor sleep, and all these aspects to allow us to give you the most impactful class for you wherever you are, whatever you're doing. So that was kind of, I guess, the foundations of me seeing the opportunity to intertwine mainstream music and other forms of music to give the users a more fun and entertaining experience. And then from a biometric level, how we could integrate wearables, so be that Whoop or a Fitbit, Garmin, Apple Watch, and ensure that you can actually track your progress. And that's the beauty about functional breathwork, right? You can actually
Yeah.
see it happening in real time. Unlike meditations and other things, we can actually measure the biometrics and show you exactly what effect it had. And the more you do it, the greater the effect. When you stop doing it, you lose the effect. But
Yeah.
everything from stress and lowering cortisol levels to actually the neuroscience of what it does to your brain to level out right hemisphere and left hemisphere of your brain, through to a bunch of other kind of amazing things that just became real fascinating aspects to me. And we brought that all into the app. So for us, it was an exciting opportunity to do something that had never been done before, not just from a content perspective and tying that to songs that people love listening to, but also ensuring there was that measurability factor, ensuring that people could see the impact rather than just simply feel the impact.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. Now, can you explain the science behind breathing at 5.5 breaths per minute and why it matters for the HRV and stress resilience?
Sure, yeah. So you touched on why we're called 5.5, which most people don't know. So well done for making that connection. But essentially, one of the first books I read was Breathe by James Nestor. And in that book, it talks about essentially the optimal breath for a human. And when he kind of put all these studies together, they found that 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out was the optimal breath for a human. And by breathing in that way, it sets this level of biometrics that basically allow you to reach your optimal even faster. So a lot of
Yeah.
people do certain types like cadence breathing, but truth is, not everyone's optimal breath is 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out, because we are all different.
Yes.
So we need to start understanding, and this is what the technology will start to do, is understanding how you are impacted based off different types of breathing patterns, based off you, your body, your biology. Because truth is, if you're training for a marathon, you're going to evolve how you train. How you
Yeah.
breathe on a Monday versus a Saturday will be different. How you
Yeah.
breathe at certain times of day will be different. uh, Menstrual cycles, that changes your body, and therefore your breathing pattern should change with it. So all of these are such important factors to understand how you should be breathing. So 5.5, for us is, the core kind of average of how a human should breathe. But we're obviously
Yeah.
going a deeper level there, which is understanding what your optimal breath is. How do you react to certain breath techniques based off your biometrics so we can give you better classes that we know is going to create a better impact for you from a physiological level.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Now, how does the app turn raw biometric data into customized breath sessions that people can actually stick with?
Yeah, so I think for us, it's really about ensuring that um, you see an effect, right?
Okay.
So this isn't like a typical content wellness app where like come in and you'll feel better. We're like, okay, like let's see what you're going to react the best to, and
Yeah.
based off, we can build a whole new level of content that allows you to ensure that you're seeing the classes that are the most fitting for you at any moment.
Yeah.
So that for us is kind of the key focus, and the goal is to give a user the most impactful class for them at any moment in time. That's our vision that we're continually working towards. And that evolves over time, right? Because again, you evolve over time. So yeah, for us, kind of putting those aspects together is a crucial part of ensuring that people who come into the app are getting the most out of it, seeing the benefits, and obviously enjoying the fact that they listen to certain music that they love doing. And we've got a whole selection of genres in there. So everything from the biggest artists in the world, like Coldplay, Dua Lipa, Ed Sheeran, through to different kinds of electronic, chill, ambient style music as well. So a real kind of a mix, and again, lo-fi in there as well. So it allows you to kind of pick, yes, those sessions are impactful for you, but also to sessions, that we know are going to be enjoyable for you as well. And this is a very different experience, I should say, right? I mean, most people would go to these apps and see like a circle getting smaller and smaller and bigger, saying inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. This is not
Yeah.
that. So this is a coach that you can see, and we know from measuring it, when you are changing your posture from
Hmm.
a breathing mechanism perspective, you will see different results. So if you've got a coach kind of reminding you, breathe from the diaphragm, close the mouth, keep your shoulders low, all these aspects, you get a better result off the back of it. This isn't just kind of, like purely animation. This is actually a coach that is giving you all the tools to get the most out of it as well.
Right. Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness. Now, which app features driver users consistency, and what surprised you with the most early user data?
Oh, good question. I think what we're seeing a lot of people do now. Very recently released our heart rate tracker.
Mhm.
So when people go into a class, they can see the heart rate live in front of them if they choose to, and then off the back of a class, they can see a graph of their heart rate, how it performed. And what we're seeing as a trend is that people are continually trying to compete with themselves. So they've got like, from like 80 beats per minute to in their 50s, and then they're trying to get a better and better result. Now, that's
Yeah,
obviously paired with coach AI feedback. So we can give you feedback, understand what you did well, what you need to do better next time in order to better the outcome that you're seeing. So that's a very, very new feature, but we're seeing a lot of kind of people, stick to that feature because it does become very addictive when you can actually see what's happening.
right.
And then you do become slightly competitive with yourself, knowing that last time you got it to here. So they look at the history, and then this time, you didn't quite get there this time, and then you do it again to try and get a better result. So that level of competition with yourself is also something that we think has been an incredibly important part, and something that we weren't quite expecting, in all honesty, when we kind of first started it. For us, it was about just showing you everything, but actually there's this kind of gamification that's starting to come from it. And then obviously people sharing with their friends and seeing how they done versus how their friends done, and so that's something that we're definitely taking note of and building into future product releases as well, to ensure that people can very easily kind of share that with their communities, their friends, and even kind of track their lines as to how they did previously and how kind of their class did in comparison in one graph. And all these aspects are coming very soon as well.
Oh, I love that. That's exciting. Now, you have gone from influencer to marketing to wellness tech. What key lessons transferred, and what has to be unlearned?
Mhm. In terms of the familiarities are people, right? So all people kind of you operate the same if you're a B2B business versus direct to consumer business. Um, the total different aspect is, you are bringing something to the world. So there's so many more things you have to think about. You can't just hire good salespeople and sell it, right?
Yeah,
You have to ensure that you're creating, the best product in the world. And that's what,
yeah,
we've been aiming to do. And that creates this kind of network effect of people sharing it with others and seeing the effect and everything else. But that doesn't come overnight, right? Again, like you hire a good salesperson for a B2B business, they've got this network of people they can just go sell to. That doesn't exist. You're starting from scratch. And that means you're taking step up, step up, step up, step up. There's no kind of quick wins here, but you have to go through that process. And I think the thing that, I kind of surprised me was, when building an app, the intricacies for the development team to overcome some of what would be perceived as the most simplest of issues. Like, can you
yeah.
just change that button? No, no,
Hmm.
no, don't work like that. But I think what's kind of really happened, which we've found fascinating and has really helped propel us even faster on the innovation side, is the use of AI. within these platforms now for apps. So we can now like build prototypes really quickly. We can throw it to our super users, get them to rate all these features, bring it back to us, and then we know what to prioritize the build. So the world is changing so much. It is, I still believe this is the biggest transformation we'll see in our lifetimes with the rise of AI. And those businesses that adopt AI and the individuals that adopt AI will be the people that really benefit from the opportunities that AI can bring. So for us, that means further innovation. It means we can build so many new products. We can test products faster. We can bring this to the world in a very cool way. And there's some of the things I'm not allowed to talk about that we're working on that will be in the app very soon. Again, a world first that they've never been done before. But it essentially will allow you to create even more hyper personalized content based off you as an individual, which we're super excited about.
Oh, that's exciting. Now, when it comes to mental health, does any stories of users who have reversed anxiety or improved sleep through their 90-second protocols that you can think of that you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like it's kind of like endless. So we've got like hundreds of testimonials. But from sleep, we've had and I'll caveat this very carefully because we've had people with sleep disorders that have managed to cure sleep disorders.
Yeah.
From I was listening, we do like client interviews as well. I was listening to one yesterday, and he was in a CPAP machine, and came off that. So I'm not saying that's the right thing for everyone, that's going to solve everything for everyone. But I'm certainly from the studies that we've seen, mild cases, can be controlled more often than not with certain kind of breathing techniques,
Yeah.
such as like BPM Method and things like that, which have all been scientifically proven. So we have a lot of those different types of methods in there, which have been very impactful. From an anxiety perspective, we measure mind, body, and sleep scores, so we can see this direct correlation between everything, right? Between how many classes they do and then what happens to their mind score, their body score, and their sleep score. So yeah, we see that on a daily basis. But on the other side, we also see when people do it and they stop doing it, what happens?
Yes.
And it surprises people, but it shouldn't, right? If you went to the gym 5 days a week for a year and then stopped going to the gym, what will happen, right? This is the same as normal exercise, but essentially, you're building, like this tolerance, you're building that stress tolerance the more you do it. And what I'm always kind of eager to push people to do is to be proactive about it. So you've got these two buckets of users. One bucket of user, they get to breaking point, they can't sleep or they're anxious or they've got a panic attack and they come into the app. Then you've got
Yeah.
the other bucket of users, and they're proactive users. So they're people that come into the app every morning or every afternoon, whatever it may be, and they'll do these classes and they don't get to breaking point. Why? Because they're spending that 5 minutes a day proactively to avoid that from happening. So
Yeah.
for us, the goal and the challenge that we have is how can we make this, sticky for individuals for everyone to make this proactively bring that into their life. So what we found really helped with this was we started to build in a lot of what we call collections, classes that allow people to do breath work during their everyday life, when they're walking, when they're in the gym, when they're at their desk in an office, when they're on the subway without looking weird. So these are really important factors that allow people to adopt it very easily and then swap out these kind of bad habits like watching like Netflix on the subway versus switching it to breathing, and again, no one knows what you're doing. So yeah, for us, we kind of found that was incredibly powerful to kind of bring those users into that other bucket. But again, it's always a challenge, right? Because people are people, right? When you get to breaking point, you take whatever tools you have and try and solve it with using those tools. But we're like, well, don't get to that breaking point. Do it
Mm.
continuously. 5 minutes. The studies show, even Stanford University kind of showed this study of just 5 minutes, 5 times a week is enough to see a real impact in your biometrics from an anxiety, sleep, stress level. And that is something that we're seeing in the app as well. If they can do it 5 times a week, just even this 5 minutes, then that they're going to see a good uplift in their biometrics and their overall happiness, healthiness, and off the back of that, longevity as well, which has been directly correlated to breath work and lung capacity, respiratory issues that have been resolved through breathing, and all these aspects as well.
Oh my goodness. Now, as you grow, will AI or any additional sensories deepen with each user's tailored experience?
Yes. So um, again, I can't say too much here, but going back to my point before, is that I think the goal, the vision for us is to ensure that every user has the most impactful session for them wherever they are, whatever they're doing. So that means we
Yeah.
have to understand your biometrics, your preferences, and even kind of your optimal length of class and all these things, and your optimal coach. So all those learnings, all the data that we get fuels our own AI engine, right? That allows us to fuel the algorithms that give you the most impactful content. And then we will go one step further, whereby we can, again, I got to be careful what I say, but very, very much deepen the experience to ensure that you are getting the most out of every class and ensure the class is the best fit for you. And we are using AI. We're actually already prototyping a few things in the background to allow us so our super users some of them may be listening, will know the tools I'm talking about. But yeah, we've had to get them sign NDAs about it again because this hasn't been done before. But yes, yeah, AI allows, and I think this is AI in general, right? AI used in the right way should be able to give everyone that hyper personalization, through any business or tool or wellness solution. But yeah, we're definitely kind of keen to be the first to kind of do a lot of the things that we know it's capable of doing, especially when we've built our own engine to kind of complement kind of AI from a a content perspective, a biometric perspective as well.
Oh, I love that. Now, breathwork is booming. Like, how would you balance rapid growth with scientific rigor and compliance?
Can you say that again? Sorry, didn't quite understand that.
So breath work is really booming. Like, how do you balance like growth with scientific rigor and compliance? Like, how do you balance like breath work in our society? Like, like we were talking about before, you need to stay consistent. You need to do it on a regular basis. And like as you mentioned earlier, sometimes for people, it's like it's hard for them to say, oh, even though it's an excuse, I don't have 5 minutes or I don't have 10 minutes, so breathwork is really booming, but like, how do you stay consistent? Like, what's your from seeing a lot of people do it and stay consistent and stay successful with it? Is there a specific way people should go about it? Like, should they use it more than once a day when they're starting to feel stressed, or should they maybe just start the day when they first wake up and put it on and just like get themselves into that kind of mode and maybe before bed so they get a good night's sleep and because when they slow their breath down, they get to that level of calmness, most likely they're going to probably have a better sleep if they do that. So like,
Yes.
what's your suggestions?
Yeah, everyone's different, but what we do see depends on the outcome you're looking to get. But if you take me for example, I go to the gym 5 mornings a week. I go on the treadmill. In those 5 minutes, I'm on the treadmill and I'm doing my breathwork class.
Mhm.
Now, in that moment, I'm increasing my carbon dioxide tolerance, which puts me at the optimal state of training. I'm increasing my lung capacity, directly linked to longevity. But I'm also balancing out my brain and reducing my cognitive load. So I'm proactively doing that and I'm bringing it. I'm already going on the treadmill. I'm already going to do 5 minutes. So for me, and this is very much the world of habit stacking, I bring that in and then I'm always doing it. So whenever I go for a walk, I'm always doing breath work. Why? Because I'm so used to doing it on the move now. I may as well double up and get this amplified effect from a wellness perspective versus just going for a walk. But then you've got the other side of things, which people, some people do just struggle with sleep, and they come in and they do sleep classes. Now, if you take sleep apnea as a scenario, a lot of people come in and they'll just do the sleep classes. But truth is, with things like sleep apnea, there's actually a whole host of other classes you should also be doing to strengthen your airways, your diaphragm, and all these aspects that maybe the sleep doesn't do so much. It will send you to sleep and it'll give you a deep sleep. But if you really want to tackle it, then you should be doing breath work on the move. When
Yeah.
you're walking, when you're running, when you're all these aspects, because the stronger you are, the more likely you'll have kind of success off the back of that. And we see a direct correlation between the more breath work, the reduce sleep apnea episodes in that example. And then you've got the other side of it, which is, we've had a lot of people come in that have ADHD and want to use that to be more focused and kind of calming and allow them to kind of hit the reset button. So it really does depend, but I would always kind of recommend doing it in the morning. But morning it's a loose term because actually what is maybe a 6 a.m. good for me, maybe a 10 a.m. good for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, when you look at your day and when you wake up and when you start work or whatever you may be doing, that has to fit in with that.
yes.
But we I would say we see most people that do it proactively do it in the morning.
Mhm.
Um, so actually, actually, it's probably equal morning and sleep at night, and then kind
Right.
of a whole lot of different times in between. But yeah, for me personally, if I was going to recommend people to do it, I think it's really good. Just like I would recommend going to the gym, right? Do it in the morning, get it out of the way with in the morning, and then have a better day off the back of it. I would say the
Yeah,
same with most exercises, and that will have a this knock-on effect to your sleep. And we do have people do it in the morning and do it asleep at nighttime, or do it in the morning and then do it different times in the day when they are, maybe certain meetings that they're, want to be more focused for and more productive in the day, or whatever that may be. So yeah,
yeah.
it really does range. But for me personally, yeah, mornings are best, and we do see a lot of people who are adopting this into their everyday life do it in the morning. So I would probably suggest something similar if people are looking to bring it into their day.
I like that. Now, have you seen like various conditions, improve because of the app?
Yes, yep. Yeah, we've had people with panic attacks that we got one testimonial a few weeks ago where this lady who suffers panic attacks and she's an anxious traveler, and she got on the plane, and it's the first time she hadn't had a panic attack on a plane because she had 5.5 with her. So that was kind of a really amazing moment. Sleep apnea, we've had quite a few sleep apnea testimonials come through from people that have relieved themselves of certain conditions. Um, we in terms of other conditions, yeah, I think we do see this. It's not so much a condition, but there is this direct correlation between how you breathe and illnesses that you get, right? And again, this has been well documented and scientifically proven. So yeah, if you're doing certain types of breathing exercises, then you will get ill less,
Yeah,
and that impact of getting ill less has a whole host of things that are creating a positive impact for how your body operates, how it works.
right.
So we've had a lot of people talk about how they've been kind of like sick often, and then bringing this into their day. They haven't been sick for like, for 6 months or, months at a
Yeah,
time. Um, and so that's also been great. So not so much a condition, but that's just, everyday life that we all face. And I should say I face the same, right? When I was, doing my previous business, I was getting burnt out. I was ill like probably every 2 weeks. It was
yeah,
ridiculous. My wife was really worried about me. And I realized that so much of the impact that I was facing was how I was breathing. After kind of actually had a trip to a cardiologist and realized actually the stress that I'm feeling, tightness in my chest, was actually down to how I was breathing, and how I was breathing was then triggering all these other illnesses that I was getting, and I couldn't snap out of there because I was stuck in the stress loop. So, for me, that was a massive game changer. So, people that have that weight on their chest, continually, um, more often than not, that is purely how you're breathing in a fight or flight mode, which is often through the mouth, often shallow, often very high, versus how you should be breathing slow through your nose, diaphragmatically.
yeah,
And that is where you start to see, life-changing moments. And people that do classes and you learn the techniques as well, it also just allows you to be more aware of how you're breathing throughout the day. Because
yeah.
actually, I'm at our desk and there's something called email apnea where you open emails and you just hold your breath, right? And this again is scientifically proven that this is a thing, and you get it through scrolling through social media as well. It's that anxiety trigger that happens. So even just the awareness of that when you're in different platforms or different environments, how are you breathing differently? How can you quickly correct that is incredibly important, because that allows you to, if you're anxious, tackle any environment. If you're stressed, de-stress very easily and lower your cortisol levels and all these aspects. So yeah, that's kind of what I would kind of say as a side by side. If they choose to do breath work, just be conscious of how you're breathing in general.
Oh, I love that. I love that a lot. Now, your favorite recovery hack besides breath work, what is it? And why do you like that besides breath work?
Um, I would say like I like to go out for walks.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and like treks. So, I might do breath work for like 5 minutes of it, but I'm still like, if I'm going for a half an hour walk, then it's still 25 minutes. I'm not doing breath work for it.
Yeah.
I think that's just an incredibly important factor for, again, lowering stress, being outdoors, the scientific benefits of, sun on your face, especially, setting your circadian rhythm in the morning, ensuring that your body clock is, kind of acting as it should, which obviously helps with, not just kind of de-stressing, but, sleeping better at night. So, yeah, I always kind of try if I can to kind of maybe get some sun on my face in the morning. I always try and get out in the day to kind of break up the day to ensure that I'm just going for a kind of a little walk, getting that movement, getting that exercise again. The science benefits are all very clearly documented on what that has, but also just to just have that break is
Yeah.
incredibly important. Otherwise, you can get sucked into your day to day and lose yourself in it.
Oh, 100%. Now, if for people who want to learn more about breath work, is there like a favorite book or something that they can go to learn more about breath work?
Yeah, so I would say the first book that I read, which is one of these, it was a New York Times bestseller, is the book Breathe by James Nestor. That will give you the foundations of what you need. Then, if you want to go further than that, that's when you start to go into Patrick McKeown, which is obviously our advisor, who's the number one functional breath expert in the world. And I would say a good book to start off with his is probably Oxygen Advantage. That was one of the first I read of his. And then, there's got, if you want to go further into certain areas, there's got a great book called The Breathing Cure, which can really go into some of those conditions that maybe people face, everything from asthma, sleep apnea, through to a bunch of other stuff. That's super interesting as well. So, yeah, I'd probably say, start off with those and then see where you get on. But Breathe it's just a very, it's an amazing story because you're really kind of going on the journey that James Nestor is going on to understand breathing, and I learned a hell of a lot from that book, and it really also injected that kind of curiosity to delve deeper into the world of breathwork after reading that as well.
I like that. Now, if you had to take today's conversation and you had to summarize it, what are some things you'd like to emphasize to the listeners today that you feel that you want them to walk away with that you feel are important?
Sure, I think you know in terms of a breath perspective, there is nothing else that exists from a scientifically proven standpoint that is going to have as fast effect as breathing does.
Hmm.
Even if you meditate, the physiological effects you're getting is by slowing your breath, whilst you're meditating. If you listen to music, the physiological effect you got is when you listen to slow music, you slow your breath. When you listen to fast music, you speed up your breath. So breath is the gateway to everything. Now, obviously it's exploding in growth and popularity, but I think it's incredibly important that firstly, you become familiar with it, whether it's using an app like FivePointFive or any of the other apps out there. That's just a great opportunity for people to start bringing it into everyday life. And then where I would go one step further is if you have children, get them into breathwork. It is the best thing that you can give them to help them develop from even from a facial structure, developmental
Yeah.
and dental structure. Your face changes based on how you breathe. Your immunity will change and be stronger off the back of how you're breathing.
Yeah.
You will be able to tolerate stress better as you get older. You'll be less anxious. All these things, again, scientifically proven. If you can just bring that in from a young age, I believe, and something that I'm passionate about is ensuring that all schools bring this into their curriculum because
Yeah.
we all know, we all think we know how to breathe.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, if I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and 18-month-old, my 4-year-old, when he's emotionally charged, I'll get him to stop, I'll get him to breathe, and bang, it's like magic. Why? Because it's just science, right? Like all
Yeah.
I'm doing is activating his parasympathetic by getting him to take a deep breath, slowly kind of out, do that 3 times, and I can have a conversation with him again. So
Yeah.
it's an incredibly powerful tool and something that everyone should be learning, and something that I think New York has actually already made it mandatory to bring in breath work into their public school curriculum as well, and that will be the start of a huge change that's going to start happening, because it for me it's just a no-brainer. But some people, and especially kind of educational systems, are potentially slightly slower to adopt these things over time, but it will get there.
I love it. I love it. Now, where can people find your app?
Sure. Yeah, we're on the US App Store. We're only in the US at the moment. So you can go into the App Store, type in 5.5. That's all spelled as words, FIVE. And you can also follow us on Instagram _5.5. You can follow me. I'm on mainly on LinkedIn is my main channel. So you can check me out on LinkedIn. But on our Instagram gives all the new releases, the new classes, and some amazing content just to help you, I guess, educate you on some of the secrets of breathing and the effects it has in the studies that are being released.
So you have you just not the app, but you have also services and different things that they could be active in that will help them in all different areas.
The actual kind of classes are all in the app, but we do try and give a lot of educational content in our Instagram as well. So we don't do the classes. You can't access for the Instagram. You can't access the
Right.
app. If you really want to understand, kind of what are the biological and physiological effects of what happens during certain breathing techniques, then we try and kind of give as much educational content as possible on our Instagram. So if people are interested in the subject, then just follow us, and we'll be able to keep you up to date on those, as well as all the new features that are coming through the app.
I love it. I love it. This has been amazing. I think it's so important because I think breath work really can change a person. It really it can calm you. It can help your conditions, I had always thought I always said, 70% of illnesses are caused by stress. And someone corrected me. They said, no, 100% of illnesses is caused by stress. And, we can prevent stress and we can prevent panic attacks and we can prevent a lot of things through breath work. And it's so important when we change our breath and we start bringing ourselves to a level of calmness, everything is able to function better. And, and because, a lot of times when you have stress and you're not calm and you're not breathing in a productive way, you're breaking down the walls of your immune system. You're destroying your inner self. You're destroying your inner self completely. And it also affects your brain, the way you think, your clarity, your focus. And, it affects the entire body, mentally and physically, spiritually, and in your overall life it is disrupted. So breath work really plays a huge role on the importance of improving your overall life and really living life to your full potential and really achieving that level of joy and happiness in your life. Because when you feel good, life is good. And when you get into hard situations and stressful situations like we all do in life because it's unavoidable, breath work could help you get through it, and applying it to your life and make it a daily ritual, like you said. Basically, it becomes a part of your life. You don't even realize it. It's just a lifestyle change that you incorporate into your life, and it's just a daily thing. You don't even realize you're doing it. It's just become a part of you after a while. You don't even think about it. You just do it. And at the same time, you're improving your overall life and the way you function, the way you think, the way you act, everything, your communication skills. So it's a wonderful thing to incorporate. I'm so glad that you created this app, and I wish you the very best of luck with it because I think it can really change lives. I really do. And I'm so happy you came on the show to share about it, and I thank you so much for taking the time to create this for other people.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me as well. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome, and you have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.